How y'all doing, Cowboys Nation? Paul Ryan back at it again with, of course, another late night video. First and foremost, guys, I would like to apologize for there not being a stream tonight. Unfortunately, our guest had a family emergency that, of course, emergencies aren't usually expected, or that's why they're emergencies, right? It's unforeseen circumstances. So that was why there was no stream tonight. But I can promise you, once the guest does reschedule, this episode that we have planned is going to be a banger. Of course, we're talking about weeks 14 through 18 of the Cowboys regular season schedule. So make sure to tune into that when it does happen. But again, guys, I would like to apologize. Now let's talk about some Cowboys news. Yeah, last night I talked about Mike McCarthy being fed up with Jerry Jones. Talked about that story, which is really starting to gain some steam here. So I am starting to wonder how much credibility, how much truth there is to that story, which initially I thought was a nothing burger, as I said last night. But, I'm going to stay tuned to that because, things could be getting interesting as far as Mike McCarthy and maybe how he feels about his time here in Dallas. And does he even want to stay here in Dallas? Could this be like a 1 foot here, 1 foot out the door type of scenario for Mike McCarthy here in Dallas? But what I was reading tonight, some updated Cowboys news, was, of course, one of my favorite resources, if not my favorite resource, Blogging the Boys, talking about their plan on how to keep both, or excuse me, not both, but all three of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. Now, of course, we all know that's possible. Some people think the salary cap is a myth. I'm not one of those people. However, there is a way to keep all those players, your core players, while also adding quality free agents and drafting well. There's all sorts of things you can do to maximize your salary cap. Cowboys have done a good job of that, but we sacrificed signing free agents. Not something I'm going to get into, but the story or the strategy, that part of the strategy rather, that the writer from Blogging the Boys, which of course I will leave the link to that article in the description, was making some tough decisions and letting certain players walk. And in this article, in order to keep CeeDee Lamb, in order to keep Dak Prescott, in order to keep Michael Parsons, players he mentioned possibly having to let go: Deron Bland, which, yeah, I don't love that. Jake Ferguson, again, I don't love that. Osa Ziggy I mean, I don't love it, but I think he's a replaceable guy. As much as I like him, he's a good player, but I think he's replaceable. And then, of course, he also mentioned how Zach Martin more than likely gone, and DeMarcus Lawrence more than likely gone. That's five players who have been very productive, right? With the exception of maybe Osa Ziggy who's been productive, just not very productive. But it also mentioned that you could keep some of those guys. Man, I'm not going to lie to you. If I had to choose between keeping Micah Parsons or re-signing Deron Bland and Jake Ferguson, I swear, I'd rather have Deron Bland and Jake Ferguson. Call me crazy. I know Micah Parsons is like a top 5 defensive player in the NFL, but I just think Deron Bland and Jake Ferguson, as far as what this league is turning into, a pass-heavy league, do so much more for you on both sides of the ball than Micah Parsons does, who, I won't dive too deep into it, but who's been known to disappear, who's had a lot of questions about leadership, dedication, other various things, right? Now, in a perfect world, right, I want to keep Deron Bland, I want to keep Jake Ferguson, I want to keep Micah Parsons, I want to keep CeeDee Lamb, I want to keep Dak Prescott, and I think that's all possible. So that's not really something that we have to get into or really think about right now, right? But if it were up to me, call me what you will, man, but I'm keeping Deron Bland and Jake Ferguson. But hopefully the Cowboys don't have to make that decision. Hopefully that's not something we have to think about or worry about, and hopefully the Cowboys can figure out a way to keep all of those guys, all 5 of those guys, because, man, we saw what Deron Bland was capable of. We've seen what Jake Ferguson's capable of, and of course we've seen what Micah Parsons is capable of. I mean, defensive player of the year type of a player, along with Deron Bland too, right? And I think Jake Ferguson, he's due for even a better year than what we saw last year. I mean, he just continues to keep getting better and better and better, and he's got the trust of Dak Prescott, right? And we can use all the good players we can get, right? I mean, he's a 4th round pick. Love what we've seen from him. Hopefully, we can keep him. Before I start rambling, go ahead and end the video. I hope everybody's been having a good night. I hope everybody's had a good Monday. Again, I'm sorry that there was no stream tonight, but stay tuned for my daily videos. I hope everybody's having a good night again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.